15 minutes. Calm for 15 minutes. And you don't even have to look and see how much time's left. It's right there. I've got this lantern. I had it burning the other day, and just looking at it, after a while I started looking through it, like you could see the sky on the other side of it, right through it. And I was peering through it from the other side, like I could see what was past it. And I started thinking about when it rained out here the other day. And I swear I saw rain when I looked through. And it was at a slightly different angle. And the more I thought about the rain and the lantern, like I was seeing through the glass in the lantern, I could see that place I was thinking about. The lantern was on the other side of the table. And I realized I could take it to the lake, let it run. And as I was there, I was glad I was there and not here for a little bit. And I started to see the yard. So it's like, even though it's not there anymore, I can feel like the glass is in the place it was before, and I can see what's there. It was really fascinating, and it seems to look to what was happening too. And it's like you're looking in the window, but the window's there. Like when you touch your phone and text someone, it's like they're on the other side of the screen, not that far away, but you just can't reach through the glass. So it's like the candle's that way. It lets me see somewhere else. And then I started thinking about this window in a hotel in Prescott. And it looks a lot like a bar in a story in my head. And I thought about that glass. I'd been in the room, it's been there for years. And I started to see in my lantern outside the courthouse. I was seeing Prescott through that window. It's like my mind joined the window in the lantern to the window in Prescott. And I could see people walking out there, and I looked, and the clouds were up there, and they are here, and I realized from some stuff I could see that it was like today. It looked like it anyway. But if you could see somewhere else, it's just interesting, Knock on the window, maybe I would hear it, but I'm just getting it to where I can see it. You should have a calm space in your head. It's like a scene you build that you can sit there or put your feet in the water or whatever. And you can go to that when you need to. I've got what looks like a big lantern there that I could sit in. That would be cool. And I finally ended up realizing I could, somehow I ended up getting through. And it's like, you think about that, and you see the lantern there, and you just feel like you're stepping through, and before you know it, you're there. And it's not like I can fit in the lantern, but I remember stepping out of a window, and somehow I got out there, and I saw this room. It was like the same hotel room that I'd went to, but it was different colors, like mute tones, and really dusty. And that hotel had been there for a while, but the room's dark. I looked around, and there's this mirror on one side, there's the bed, and oh, there's somebody in here. and there was a lantern by the window, just creating like a shadow. There was a shadow from the moon against the lantern, and then the light from the lantern. It was down really low, but the window was getting heated up too. There's like a energy signature and things. They excite different ways based on the density. Somehow it seemed to find that window. Wasn't thinking about it per se. I stepped out into this room, and I looked around, and the decorations were simple, and there's somebody sleeping in the bed. I stepped towards the door, and she woke up and said, "Is this a dream?" And I said, "Yes." She lay back down, and I quietly went out the door. It wasn't locked. The handle was like a weird shape. I think it was actually like an older handle, and really rough paint, like it needed some touch up. But I shut the door. It was loose. You could hear it rattle, the metal on the doorknob. The door kind of clunked. I listened. It didn't hear any noise. I think she stayed asleep. A little odd, but let her sleep and I'll step out. I didn't know exactly what was happening, so I looked down the hall. I looked the other way, and I saw somebody just going down the stairs, and he had a gun on his side. It looked all beat up, like it'd been dropped a million times, but it was like one of those Colts or something. And this guy was from the 1800s, I realized. Somehow I was there. I mean, this, you could tell by the way they dressed and moved. It was rough clothes and cowboy type. And I went back towards the room. I didn't want to wake up whoever that was, but I didn't know where else to go. And I went this far. I didn't know how I was going to get back. So I didn't want to stay and do that too long. I was getting nervous. New experience. I went back to the room. I slowly opened the door. The candle still burning, the lantern by the window. And I came in and shut the door quietly. She was sleeping there. The blanket was old too, you could see that. And like a lacy type thing she was wearing, you could tell it's like from the 1800s, like one of those undergarment things. It was interesting. Anyway, I stepped by and I got up towards the window, and the moonlight crossed her face. She turned around, looked up. "Is this a dream?" I said, "Yeah, it's a dream. Dream happy, go to sleep." She went back to sleep, and she turned around. She says, "Is this the same dream?" It's like, "Same dream, go to sleep. Dream happy." And I went to the window, felt it. It was hot from the lantern, just a little bit. And I looked back, the green door and the mirror and the red quilted sheet blanket, and I felt cold in the room, but the window was warm. I touched it, and I was just feeling it, and I looked out, saw the people down there, a few people moving around, and there's horses tied up. And before I knew it, I started thinking about the patio table at the yard here. I felt like I was falling. My hands started going through the window, and before I knew it, I was standing here by the table. I'd gotten back somehow. It was just crazy. I've slept in that room, and the mirror, the window is there, and you can tell as it runs, glass runs. It's very old. And so I somehow connected with a window that I had touched, but that had been there for over 100 years, so I found that place. Maybe at some point someone was reaching for someone. You go in there and you touch the window and wonder who else touched it, and Teddy Roosevelt or Marilyn Monroe or, whoever. And maybe back in the 1800s, that woman touched that window and wondered who else had touched that glass, and somehow we got a bridge connection. Me to the window and the window to her to the time. Birds are pretty. I hope you can see them. Dream a little. Don't be afraid to dream a little. I have this place from there. That I created, and I can see it. I've been back there a few times, and I'll tell you that more later, but she sings beautifully. It just sounds like an angel. Very deep voice. You can see it in the eyes. And we don't do much. We dance. I'll tell you more, but we dance. We don't even talk. It's just like the moment away. A little bit, but it's not like a whole. It's hard to explain. It's like just in that moment is what I do. It's like this little place. And I got there through this lantern. I don't know if it's just me or the lantern or where the lantern's been. But I can see other things like the rain here the other day, but it's got me to let me go to that place. I've got to figure out what her name is. Like I wonder if, like depending on how I come back, it might all start over for her, because like the first couple times I went there, it didn't seem like she remembered anything that happened. But it's important that how you come back, but I can get into that later. But went to this place and met this person, and it's like 90 years ago or something like that, I guess. I've got to figure it out. In a town I love, but so from here I can go there. I mean, imagine you take this lantern. You're sitting there looking at it. You have an identical lantern. Imagine that's the lantern that's sitting on my table. So when you look in that glass, I'm on the other side of it, or the lake is on the other side of it, or someone that calms you. It's right over there, so it makes it feel like you're there, and you can do that even if you don't go somewhere. And it's like you're sitting right here because you're looking at the same lantern I am. You can use it to pull a direction, pull your mind away for a while. I still haven't quite figured out how it works. I've tried to think that when I touch it and leave, then I try to come back right after that, so it's not like looping or whatever. It seems like when I came back right when I left, like if I imagine returning as I was touching it when I left, when I went back after that, she didn't remember. It was like I went back to right when I left and it never happened. But when I've come back, like say I leave at 7 o'clock, as I'm touching it, I imagine that I came back right after I touched it, like at 7:01, but it'd be like a split second later. Then those times she's remembered it. But I haven't really interacted much. The one first time, and then later she saw me down in the bar when she was singing. And mostly eye contact and a dance. Briefly, it was almost like in passing. She was going outside, and as she passed, I took her arm and was spun around twice, and she walked outside. Came back a few minutes later, but it was one of those moment dances. If you've ever done it, I hope you have. Think calm thoughts, breathe. Listen to the cars as I close. Have a peaceful night. That's the end of the Dreaming Sam for tonight. Peace. God bless.